I sold my house in Phoenix for her. My retirement home. 28 years of mortgage payments, gone in 3 wire transfers to a Thai bank account. And you know what hurts the most? I'd do it again. Because for 6 months, I actually believed someone could love a broken old man like me. I didn't plan on telling this story tonight. Honestly, I thought I had buried it, locked it away where it couldn't hurt anymore. But earlier this week, I opened my email and found a message from a longtime viewer of this channel. He said he'd been following my videos for a while, quietly listening, and finally felt ready to share his own heartbreak. His words shook me not because they were so different from my own, but because they echoed pieces of my life I'd tried to forget. At first, I felt this sharp sting of recognition, like someone had just torn open a scar I'd convinced myself had healed. Then came a kind of numbness, like I was staring at his words but reading my own reflection. And finally a deep heaviness, that familiar ache in my chest that only comes when you remember how much hope can cost a man. To the person who sent that email, thank you. You reminded me why I sit down here night after night to tell these stories. And to all of you watching wherever you are in the world, thank you for being here. Drop a comment and let me know where you're listening from tonight. I love seeing those messages come in from across the globe. If you've been with me for a while, I want to give you a special thank you. A super thank you. You don't know how much it means to an old man like me that you keep coming back, video after video, to share in these confessions. Your support makes it possible for me to keep going. So please, if you haven't already, like this video, subscribe, and join the conversation down below. Because tonight, I'm going to tell you everything. Let me take you back to where it all started. I'm sitting alone at this bar in Patong Beach, nursing my 3rd Chang beer and watching the chaos of Bangla Road through the open windows. 3 months into my retirement in Phuket, and I'm still that awkward American who orders food by pointing at pictures. The loneliness here hits different than it did back in Phoenix. At least there I had familiar misery. Here, I'm just another gray-haired tourist drowning in his own silence. Then she slides onto the bar stool next to me. You look sad, mister. Bad day? Her English is careful but warm. I turn and see this petite Thai woman with long black hair and the kind of smile that makes you forget you're 68 and haven't had a real conversation in weeks. My heart does this stupid little skip that I thought died with my marriage. Not sad, I tell her, though we both know I'm lying. Just thinking. Thinking too much make you old fast, she says, and laughs. It's not a bar girl laugh, calculated and hollow. It's real. I'm already old, I say. Maybe thinking help you be young again. She extends her hand. I'm Supatra, but you can call me Supa. Bernard, I say, shaking her small hand. But people call me Bernie. Bernie, she repeats, testing the name. I like this, sound friendly. Something about the way she says it makes me want to be the man she thinks I am. She works here, I realize, watching her glance toward the bartender. But something about her feels different. When other girls approach the Western men at nearby tables, they're aggressive, pushy. Supa just sits there, occasionally sipping a Coke and asking me questions. You live in Phuket long time? She asks. 3 months, I tell her, still figuring it out. What you do before? I find myself telling her about my life back in Arizona, 45 years as an electrical contractor, building houses in subdivisions that sprawled across the desert. About my divorce 3 years ago, how Sarah took half of everything and somehow made me feel grateful for the privilege. About my kids who moved to California and call twice a year if I'm lucky. Sounds lonely, Supa says, and there's something in her voice that tells me she understands lonely. What about you? I ask. You from Phuket? No, I from Buriram province, very poor area, come here for work. She tells me about growing up on her grandmother's farm, rice paddies stretching to the horizon. About her mother who cleans offices in Bangkok for barely enough to survive. About dreams of opening a small restaurant someday, serving real Thai food, not tourist food. I listen to her talk and realize I haven't been this interested in another human being in years. Why you come Thailand? She asks. The honest answer is that I was running away. From the empty house where Sarah's absence echoed in every room. From neighbors who looked at me with pity. From a life that suddenly felt pointless after 45 years of following the same routine. Retirement, I say instead. Wanted somewhere warm. Many Farang come here for warm weather, she says. But you different. You listen when I talk. Most men, they just wait for me, stop talking so they can talk about themselves. We sit there for 2 hours. She turns down 3 other customers who try to buy her drinks. When the bar starts getting crowded and loud, she suggests we walk down to the beach. The night air is thick and warm, carrying the scent of grilled fish and frying garlic from the street food stalls. We walk along the water's edge, our feet sinking into sand that's still warm from the day's sun. You married before? She asks. 35 years, I tell her. She left me for her yoga instructor. She's stupid woman, Supa says matter-of-factly. You seem like good man. I want to believe her so badly it scares me. We reach the end of the beach where the rocks start and she stops walking. Bernie, I need tell you something. My stomach drops. Here it comes. The ask for money, the sob story, the trap I should have seen coming. I work in bar, yes, but I not like other girls. I don't go with customers. I just talk, make them feel less lonely. Some girls, they need money so bad they do anything. Me, I choose different way. She looks out at the water, and in the moonlight, I can see she's younger than I thought. Maybe 28, 30 at most. I tell you this because you seem different too. Like maybe you want friend, not just body. Relief floods through me, followed immediately by something that might be hope. I'd like to be your friend, I tell her. She smiles and pulls out her phone. You give me your number? Maybe tomorrow we talk again? As I type my number into her phone, I tell myself to be careful. I've heard the stories about Western men and Thai women. I know how these things usually end. But when she hugs me goodbye, quick and warm, I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, this time will be different. Walking back to my condo that night, I feel something I haven't felt in years. Like tomorrow might actually be worth looking forward to. 2 weeks later, and I'm seeing Supa every day, not at the bar. She says she wants to show me real Thailand, and I'm desperate to see anything real after months of tourist traps and fake smiles. We ride her motorbike to hidden temples where monks in orange robes water lotus flowers in stone ponds. She translates the Thai inscriptions for me, tells me stories about Buddhist teachings that make more sense than anything I learned in 30 years of Methodist services back home. This temple very old, she says, running her hand along carved stone. My grandmother bring me here when I small girl. She tell me, Buddha says suffering come from wanting things we cannot have. I think about Sarah, about the marriage I couldn't save, about the loneliness that brought me here. Smart guy that Buddha, I say. Supa laughs. You funny, Bernie. At the local market she guides me through crowds of vendors selling fruits I can't pronounce and vegetables I've never seen. She pays for her own meals, refuses when I offer to help. I work, I take care of myself, she says with a pride that reminds me of my ex-wife before everything went wrong, back when Sarah had her own job and her own dreams. One evening, we're sitting on the beach near my condo, sharing a bottle of water and watching the sunset paint the sky orange and pink, the kind of sunset that makes you believe in God, or at least in the possibility that beauty exists for its own sake. Tell me about your family, she says. So I do. I tell her about my son Michael, who lives in San Diego and works in tech and hasn't visited since the divorce. About my daughter Jennifer, who has 3 kids I barely know and a husband who thinks I'm a relic from a different century. About how I built their first treehouse and taught them to change oil and fix electrical outlets, and how now they pay strangers to do things I would have done for free. They busy with their life, Supa says. Not mean they don't love you. Feels like it sometimes, I admit. You good man, Bernie, she says, using the nickname that sounds perfect in her accent. Your family, they don't see because they too close. Sometimes strangers see better than family. I find myself telling her things I never told anyone. About the night Sarah told me she wanted a divorce, how she said I was emotionally unavailable and stuck in the past. About the morning I woke up in our empty house and realized I didn't know who I was without her. About the shame of being a man who spent 45 years building other people's homes but couldn't keep his own family together. Sarah sound like woman who blame other people for her own unhappiness. Supa says, maybe divorce good thing. Maybe now you find real happiness. The way she looks at me when she says it makes my chest tight, like she might be talking about herself. We start seeing each other every day. She takes me to places tourists never go. A waterfall hidden in the jungle where we swim in pools so clear I can see my feet on the bottom. A village where her friend's family lives, where they serve us homemade curry so spicy it makes me sweat, but I keep eating because it's the best thing I've ever tasted. She pays for everything herself. When I try to give money for gas or food, she waves me away. "You, my friend," she says. "Friends don't pay friends for friendship." One night, after 3 weeks of this careful courtship, she invites me back to her apartment. It's tiny, maybe 400 square feet, but clean and organized. She's arranged photos of her family on a small shrine, candles burning next to pictures of an elderly woman who must be her grandmother. "You live here alone?" I ask. "Have roommate, but she move out next month. I need find new place or new roommate." She says it casually, like she's just making conversation. But I file the information away, already thinking about how I might help. That night, we make love for the first time. It's gentle and careful, like we're both afraid of breaking something precious. Afterward, she lies with her head on my chest, and I listen to her breathe and try to remember the last time I felt this content. "Bernie," she says into the darkness, "you think we too different? You American, I Thai. You old, I young. I think we're both looking for the same thing." I tell her. "What that?" "Someone who sees us," I say. She's quiet for a long time. Then she says, "I see you, Bernie. I see good man who deserve to be happy." I want to believe her so badly it aches. 3 days later, she tells me about her mother. "She's sick," Supa says, showing me photos on her phone. An older woman with Supa's eyes, standing in front of a wooden house on stilts. Doctors say she needs surgery. Gallbladder. But very expensive. "How expensive?" I ask. 80,000 baht. Too much money. Maybe she just take medicine. Hope for best. I do the math in my head. About $2,400. The cost of a week in a decent hotel, or a month of dinners at overpriced restaurants. Nothing really. But for Supa's family it might as well be $1 million. "I'll pay for it," I hear myself saying. Her eyes widen. "Bernie, no. Too much money." "It's not too much," I tell her. "Family is everything. You said that yourself." She starts crying then, and I hold her while she sobs into my shirt. "No man ever helped me like this," she says. "Never ask for nothing back. But I am asking for something back. I'm asking for her to love me the way I'm starting to love her." When she introduces me to her friends as her boyfriend, I feel 20 years younger. When she starts calling me every morning and night, I start believing this might be real. I transfer the money for her mother's surgery without hesitation. It feels good to be needed again, to matter to someone, to be the kind of man who can solve problems and take care of the people he loves. That's what this is, I realize. Love. Messy and complicated and probably doomed, but real enough to make me forget about everything I left behind in Phoenix. Real enough to make me start planning a future I never thought I'd have. I help Supa move into a nicer apartment 2 weeks after her roommate leaves. The place costs 15,000 baht a month, about $450 US. But it has a real kitchen and a bedroom with windows that actually open. When I hand her the first 3 months' rent, she cries, "Bernie, this too much. I pay you back, I promise." We both know she won't, and we both pretend that matters. Seeing her happy makes the money feel like nothing. She arranges the small space with the care of someone who's never had much but appreciates everything. The few pieces of furniture she owns get positioned just so. Her grandmother's photo gets the place of honor on a small table near the window, surrounded by fresh flowers she buys every few days. "Now I have real home," she says, spinning around the empty living room like a little girl. "Our home," I correct, and she smiles in a way that makes me believe it. I start spending most nights there. My condo sits empty while I live in her 400 square foot apartment, sleeping on a mattress on the floor and cooking simple meals on a hot plate. It should feel like a step backward for a man who owned a 3-bedroom house with a pool, but instead it feels like the first real home I've had since the divorce. "You sure you comfortable here?" she asks one morning, watching me make coffee with instant powder and hot water from an electric kettle. "More comfortable than I've been in years," I tell her, and I mean it. The request starts small. Her motorcycle needs new tires. 2,000 baht, about $60. I give her the money and think nothing of it. A week later, Her phone screen cracks. She shows me the spider web of broken glass, apologetic and embarrassed. I so clumsy. Drop on bathroom floor. Another 2,000 baht for a new phone. Still nothing that registers as significant. Then, her visa needs renewing. She works on a tourist visa that requires border runs every few months, trips to Cambodia or Malaysia that cost money she doesn't have. If I cannot renew, I have to go back to village, she says, and the thought of losing her makes my chest tighten. 5,000 baht for visa fees and transportation. I hand over the money before she finishes explaining. Each time, she's grateful. Overwhelmed even. She promises to pay me back when business gets better at the bar, when her mother sends money from Bangkok, when things settle down. I tell her not to worry about it. I tell her that's what boyfriends do, take care of the people they love. You too good to me, she says, curled up next to me in bed. I don't deserve man like you. Everyone deserves to be taken care of, I tell her. But the truth is, I'm the one who doesn't deserve this. A woman 30 years younger who looks at me like I'm something special instead of a discarded husband with gray hair and age spots. I'm desperate to keep her, and money is the only tool I have. My retirement account can handle it. After 45 years of working, saving, living below my means, I have more money than I'll ever need. What's the point of dying rich if you lived poor? What's the point of saving for a future that might never come? 3 months into our relationship, and I'm spending more money in a month than I used to spend in 6. But I'm also happier than I've been since before my marriage started falling apart. Maybe that's worth something. Maybe that's worth everything. Then the bigger requests start. Her cousin is getting married in Bangkok. Family honor requires a substantial gift, especially since Supa is dating a wealthy American now. Her motorcycle breaks down completely, beyond repair. She needs reliable transportation for work, and a decent used bike costs 40,000 baht. There's a problem with her apartment deposit. The landlord claims damages that Supa swears aren't her fault, but fighting it would mean lawyers and court fees that cost more than just paying. Each crisis comes with tears, apologies, and promises that this is the last time. Each time, I hand over the money and tell myself this is what love looks like. This is what it means to build a life with someone. But late at night, when she's sleeping next to me and I'm staring at the ceiling, I do the math. In 3 months, I've given her almost $6,000. More money than most Thais make in a year. More money than I spent on my own living expenses in the same period. I tell myself it's an investment in our future. I tell myself she's worth it. I tell myself a lot of things that sound reasonable in the dark but feel less certain in the morning light. Bernie, she says one evening, after I've transferred money for yet another emergency, you make me feel safe, like nothing bad can happen when you here. She curls up against me, and I stroke her hair and think about how it feels to be needed again. To be the solution instead of the problem. To be the man someone turns to when the world gets too heavy. I'll always take care of you, I tell her. It's a promise I mean with everything I have. It's also a promise that's going to cost me more than I can imagine. 6 months in, and I'm ready to make it official. The visa runs are getting expensive and stressful, and I want Supa to have security. Real security, not just the kind that comes from dating a man with a retirement account. I start researching marriage visas. If we're married, I can stay in Thailand permanently, and she can apply for a U.S. spouse visa if we ever want to visit Arizona. The paperwork is complicated, but I've dealt with government bureaucracy before. You really want to marry me? She asks when I bring it up over dinner at our usual restaurant near the beach. For the first time since I've known her, she looks uncertain, almost nervous. More than anything, I tell her, and I mean it. Marriage to Sarah felt like an obligation by the end. Something we did because it was expected, because we'd been together too long to quit. This feels different. This feels like choice. But Bernie, she says, playing with her pad thai instead of eating it. You sure? I'm not educated woman. I don't speak good English. Your family in America, they think you crazy old man. My family in America barely speaks to me, I say, and you're the smartest person I know. Education doesn't make someone smart. She smiles, but it doesn't quite reach her eyes. Okay, she says finally, if you're sure, then yes. I marry you. The lawyer I hire explains the process. proof of income, bank statements, background checks, interviews with immigration officials who want to make sure our relationship is genuine. It's going to cost about $3,000 in fees and take several months to process. You need to show financial stability, he explains. Property ownership, significant savings, proof you can support a Thai spouse. That's when Supa suggests something that makes perfect sense at the time. We're walking on the beach after the lawyer meeting and she's quiet for a long time. Finally, she stops walking and turns to face me. Bernie, you still own house in Arizona, yes? Yeah, but it's been empty since I moved here. I keep thinking I should sell it, but I haven't gotten around to it. Maybe now good time? She says carefully. We sell house, buy something here in Thailand. We build life together, not just visit. The house in Phoenix has been sitting empty for 8 months. I pay a property management company to check on it and handle basic maintenance, but it's just another expense now. A tie to a life I don't want anymore. It's worth about $180,000. In Thailand, that's enough to buy a beautiful home with a pool and a garden, maybe even a small business. More than enough to prove financial stability to the immigration officials. We could put it in both our names, I suggest. She's quiet for a moment, then shakes her head. Thai law very different from American law. Very complicated for foreigner to own property. Better if in my name, but we make legal paper that says half yours. Like American prenup, but opposite. It makes sense. I've heard other expats talk about the complexities of foreign property ownership in Thailand. And if we're getting married anyway, what difference does it make whose name is on the deed? Okay, I tell her. Let's do it. I list the house the next week. The Phoenix real estate market is hot, and my realtor thinks it'll sell quickly. While we wait, Supa starts looking at properties online, bookmarking houses with pools and gardens, condos near the beach with Western kitchens and reliable internet. She has opinions about everything. Location, price, neighbors, proximity to her work. This one too expensive, she says about a house I love. It's a 3-bedroom place with a view of the mountains, reduced from its original asking price. Maybe we find something more practical. She steers us toward properties that seem overpriced for what they offer. Places in developments I've never heard of, houses that need work, condos in buildings that look half empty. When I question her choices, she has explanations. This area very good for investment. My friends say property value go up soon. This one close to my work. Save money on transportation. This one, the owner desperate to sell. We can negotiate good price. I want to trust her judgment. She knows the local market better than I do, understands cultural factors I'm missing. But something feels off about the properties she's showing me. They're not places I can imagine us being happy. 2 months later, the house sells. After taxes, realtor fees, and closing costs, I net $165,000. It sits in my Thai bank account like a nest egg for our future, earning almost nothing in interest but representing more money than most people here will see in a lifetime. Now we can look serious, Supa says when the transfer clears. But every house we look at, she finds problems. Too far from town, too close to neighbors, bad feng shui, wrong facing direction. Something feels wrong, but I can't put my finger on what. Maybe it's just that this is the biggest decision I've made since the divorce. Maybe it's natural to be nervous about committing to a life so different from anything I've known. Late at night, lying next to Supa in our tiny apartment, I stare at the ceiling and wonder if I'm making the right choice. But then she rolls over and puts her arm across my chest, and I remember why I'm here. Not for the house, not for the visa, for this. For the feeling that someone needs me, wants me, chooses me every day. The house is just a building. Home is wherever she is. The house money sits in my account for 3 weeks before the emergencies multiply. Supa's cousin is getting married, and family honor requires a gift of 15,000 baht. Her motorcycle breaks down completely, beyond repair, and she needs a reliable bike for work, 30,000 baht for something decent. There's a problem with her visa paperwork that requires a lawyer who specializes in immigration issues, another 20,000. I feel bad always asking, she says after each request, tears in her eyes. This not how I want start our marriage. Me always needing, you always giving. That's what husbands do, I tell her. Take care of their wives. But I'm starting to feel like an ATM with legs. Every week brings a new crisis, a new expense, a new reason why she needs money right now. The requests come with increasing urgency. Her mother's medicine costs have gone up. Her sister lost her job in Bangkok and needs help with rent. There's a business opportunity. A friend who wants to start a restaurant and needs investors. Each time, Supa explains the situation with charts and numbers written on napkins, pointing out how the investment will pay off in the long run. I want to believe her. I need to believe her. Because if I don't, then what am I doing here? What have I been doing for the past 7 months? I start to notice things that don't add up. She gets text messages constantly but switches the phone face down when I'm around. Sometimes she smells different when she comes home from work. Cologne I don't recognize mixed with cigarette smoke. She says she doesn't smoke. When I ask about her day, her stories don't quite line up. Tuesday she said she was helping her friend move, but Wednesday she mentions visiting the same friend at her old apartment. You don't trust me, she says when I question the discrepancy. Her voice is hurt, offended. After everything we've been through, you still think I lie to you? Of course I trust you, I say, and I realize how desperate I sound. Like a man trying to convince himself as much as her. But I start paying attention, really paying attention. I notice she has new clothes, expensive-looking dresses I've never seen before. Designer knockoffs, maybe, but still nicer than anything she could afford on her bar salary. I see her at a coffee shop with a young Thai man, and when she spots me, she waves but doesn't come over. Doesn't introduce us. Who was that? I ask later. My cousin, she says, without hesitation. The one getting married. I tell him about gift, he very happy. The same cousin whose wedding required $800 of my money for a gift. The same cousin who, according to her stories, lives in Bangkok. What's he doing in Phuket? I start driving by her apartment at random times when she says she's working late. Her motorcycle is there. The bar where she works is only 10 minutes away. Why would she come home between shifts? These thoughts circle in my head like vultures, and I hate myself for having them. This is what jealousy does to a man. This is what happens when you love someone you can't quite believe loves you back. I'm 68 years old enough to know better, but apparently not wise enough to stop myself from becoming the suspicious boyfriend checking up on his much younger girlfriend. Bernie, she says one evening after I've questioned her about where she was Tuesday night. You becoming different person. Before you trust me. Now you always worried, always asking questions. What happened to man I fall in love with? I'm sorry, I tell her. I just miss you when you're gone. But the truth is more complicated. I'm afraid. Afraid she's getting tired of me. Afraid the age difference is starting to matter. Afraid that maintaining the illusion of our relationship is becoming more work than it's worth. The money in my account is dropping faster than I expected, not just from Supa's requests, but from the general cost of living the life we've built together. Nice restaurants, weekend trips to other islands, the apartment rent, utilities, groceries for 2 people. In 6 months, I've spent almost $40,000, not counting the house sale. That money feels different, protected somehow, but it's also the only real asset I have left. My retirement account back home covers my basic living expenses, but it won't stretch to cover emergencies and investments and the constant stream of family obligations that seem to define Supa's life. Maybe we should start looking for house soon, she says one evening. Market getting more expensive every month. If we wait too long, we cannot afford anything good. I know she's right. Real estate prices in Phuket have been climbing steadily. But I also know that once we buy a house, once that money is gone, I'll be committed to this life in a way that can't be undone. What if we rent for another year? I suggest. Make sure we know what we want before we commit to buying. She looks at me like I've suggested we live in a tent. Bernie, renting just waste money. Every month we pay someone else, we losing investment. Better to buy now, build equity. She pulls out her phone and shows me a listing she's bookmarked. A 2-bedroom house with a small pool. Listed at 4.2 million baht, about $125,000. This one perfect for us, she says. Good location, good price. But we need to decide soon. Other people looking too. The house looks nice in the photos. Not spectacular, but comfortable. The kind of place where we could be happy, if happiness is something that can be bought with real estate and good intentions. Okay. I hear myself saying. Let's make an offer. Her smile is brilliant, genuine. For a moment, she looks like the woman I fell in love with 8 months ago. Young and hopeful and grateful for the chance at a better life. Maybe I'm overthinking everything. Maybe this is just what love looks like when it's complicated by culture and age and money. Maybe I'm finally doing something right. I find out by accident. I'm at Central Festival Mall buying groceries when I see her across the food court. She's with the same young Thai man from the coffee shop, and they're definitely not acting like cousins. Her head is on his shoulder. His hand is on her thigh. They're sharing food from the same plate, laughing at something on his phone. I watch from behind a pillar like some pathetic stalker, my cart full of vegetables I'll probably never eat, and I feel something cold settle in my chest. They look comfortable together, natural. The way she leans into him, the way he touches her hair, it's intimate in a way that makes my stomach turn. When she kisses him goodbye, soft and lingering, I feel something break inside me. Not my heart, something deeper, my sense of reality. I drive home in a daze, leaving my groceries in the cart. That night, when Supa comes home from work, she's in a good mood. Humming Thai pop songs, texting someone with a smile I haven't seen in weeks. Good day? I ask. Yes, very good. Tips were good tonight. Many generous customers. She smells different, not just cologne, but happiness. The scent of someone who's been kissed by someone they actually want to kiss. I don't confront her immediately. Instead, I do what any suspicious old fool would do. I start checking up on her. I drive by her apartment at different times, park across the street like a private investigator in a bad movie. I see his motorcycle there overnight. Twice. A red Honda with racing stripes and a dent in the left side, the same bike that was parked at the coffee shop. The confrontation happens 3 days later when I can't pretend anymore. We're at our usual restaurant, the one near the beach where we had our first real conversation. The same place where she told me about her dreams of opening a restaurant, where I believed every word that came out of her mouth. Who is Niran? I ask without preamble. She's mid-bite of pad see ew, and she nearly chokes. The color drains from her face, and for a moment she looks younger than 28. She looks like a child caught in a lie. Niran? I don't know any Niran. The denial comes too quickly, too rehearsed. I saw you with him, Supa, at Central Festival. And his bike is at your apartment. She's quiet for a long time, staring at her plate like the noodles might rearrange themselves into an explanation. When she finally speaks, her voice is different, harder. The voice of someone who's tired of pretending. Niran is my boyfriend. Just like that. No apology, no explanation. Like I'm the one who's been unreasonable for expecting honesty. Then what am I? I ask. The question hangs between us like smoke. Around us, other diners continue their conversations, couples feeding each other bites of food, families with children who splash in the nearby fountain. Normal people living normal lives while mine implodes in slow motion. She looks at me with something that might be pity. You are good man who help me. You are kind Farang who make my life easier. I never say I love only you. You said you loved me. I do love you. Like family, like father. The word hits me like a physical blow. Father. All those nights when I thought we were making love, she was thinking of me as a father figure. All those times I felt young again, attractive again, wanted again, she was seeing a gray-haired old man who paid her bills. How long? I ask. How long have you been with him? Since before I meet you, she says quietly. He my boyfriend 2 years. But he cannot take care of me like you can. He young, no money, no job sometimes. Good for love, not good for life. I should be angry. I should be furious. Instead, I just feel tired. Bone deep, soul-crushing tired. So what happens now? She brightens slightly, like we're negotiating a business deal. Now you help me buy house. Like we plan. I live there with Niran. You can visit sometimes. We still friends. I still take care of you when you need. The audacity of it takes my breath away. She wants me to buy her a house to live in with her real boyfriend. She wants me to fund their love story while I play the role of benevolent sugar daddy, dropping by for supervised visits like a divorced parent. What if I say no? I ask. She shrugs, picks up a piece of chicken with her chopsticks. Then I find other Farang. Many lonely old men in Phuket. You not special, Bernie. You just first one who say yes. That's when I understand. I was never her boyfriend. I was her business plan. A walking retirement fund with loneliness so deep I'd pay anything for the illusion of being loved. She's not evil. She's not even particularly cruel. She's just honest about something I've been lying to myself about for 8 months. This was always a transaction. I just pretended it was a romance. I need to think. I tell her. Okay, she says, going back to her noodles. But don't think too long. Other people interested in house, market moving very fast. I should have walked away. Any man with self-respect would have walked away. Instead, I spend 3 days convincing myself that this is salvageable. That maybe, somehow, we can build something real from the wreckage of my delusions. I text her constantly. Long messages about how we can work through this, how love is complicated, how I understand she has needs I can't meet. She responds with short, practical replies. Okay, Bernie. We talk later. I busy with work. On the 3rd day, I show up at her apartment with flowers and a proposal that makes me hate myself even as I make it. Leave him, I say when she opens the door. We can start over. Forget about the house, forget about the money. Just us, building something real. She looks at me like I'm a child who doesn't understand how the world works. Come in, she says, but not unkindly. The apartment I helped her afford is different now. There are men's clothes hanging in the closet, a second motorcycle helmet on the table. Photos of her and Niran together, displayed openly now that she doesn't have to hide them from me. Bernie, you good man, she says, settling onto the couch I bought her. But you not understand. Niran is young, he handsome, he Thai like me. We understand each other. You. She pauses, searching for words that won't completely destroy me. You old Farang with money. This different thing. The honesty is worse than the lies. At least the lies let me pretend I mattered to her as more than a bank account with feelings. So what you want from me? She continues. You want me pretend I not love Niran. You want me lie and say I love you same way. This not fair to you or me. I want you to choose. I tell her. Choose me. Choose us. Choose the life we plan together. She laughs, but there's no cruelty in it. Just disbelief. Bernie, what life? You live in Thailand 3 months before you meet me. You don't speak Thai. You don't understand culture. You don't have friends here except me. What life we building? You just running away from real life in America. Every word is true, and every word cuts deeper than the last. I am running away. I did abandon everything familiar for a fantasy of love in paradise. I am the cliché she's describing, and we both know it. But I love you, I say, and the words sound pathetic even to me. I know, she says softly, and I'm sorry for that. I never mean for you to love me real way. I think you understand this was business. Help each other. You get companion, I get security. Many Farang and Thai women have this arrangement. Work good for everyone. So what happens now? I ask, though I already know the answer. Now you decide, she says. You can help me buy house like we plan. I live there with Niran, you live somewhere else, but we still friends. I cook for you sometimes, we spend time together, but no pressure for romance. Or you can say no, and I find different arrangement with different man. She makes it sound so reasonable, so practical, like she's offering me a business partnership instead of asking me to fund her life with another man. And if I say no, then I find other Farang. Many lonely old men in Phuket who want young Thai girlfriend. You not special, Bernie. You just first one who say yes to everything. The casual brutality of it steals my breath. I'm replaceable, interchangeable. Any lonely old American with a retirement account would have done just as well. You have to understand, she continues, mistaking my silence for consideration. In Thailand, many women my age, we not have choice like American woman. No good job, no education, no family money. We use what we have. Beauty, youth, ability to make old man feel young again. This not love story, Bernie. This survival. I want to argue with her. I want to tell her about the moments that felt real, the conversations that seemed genuine, the nights when I was sure she cared about me as more than a paycheck. But sitting here in the apartment I'm paying for, looking at photos of her with the man she actually loves. I can't find the words. I need time to think, I tell her. Okay, but don't take too long, she says, standing up, house market moving fast, and Neuron getting impatient. He want me choose between you and him. What will you choose? I choose me, she says without hesitation. I choose what best for my future. You should do same. Walking back to my condo that night, I realize she's right about one thing. I do need to choose what's best for my future. And that doesn't include buying a house for a woman who sees me as a walking ATM, or staying in a country where I'm just another desperate farang chasing a dream that was never real. I don't buy her the house. I don't give her another bot. I change my phone number, transfer my money back to my US account, and book a flight to Phoenix. The decision comes easily once I stop fighting it. Like stepping off a treadmill I didn't realize was exhausting me. Supa tries to contact me through friends, through the bar where we met, through social media accounts I forgot I had. The messages follow a predictable pattern. First anger. You promise to take care of me. You break my heart. You lie about everything. Then manipulation. Bernie, I sorry about Niran. I choose you if you help me. We can be happy together if you just trust me. Then desperation. Please answer me. I need money for emergency. My mother's sick again. Please help just this one time. The last message arrives 3 days before my flight, and it's different from the others. Bernie, I sorry if I hurt you. You good man. You deserve woman who love you real way. I hope you find happiness in America. Thank you for helping me when I need. I never forget your kindness. I don't know if she means it, or if it's one final attempt to keep me available for future emergencies. It doesn't matter anymore. I'm writing this from a hotel room near Suvarnabhumi Airport, waiting for my flight tomorrow morning. The room costs more in one night than Supa's old apartment cost for a week, and the irony isn't lost on me. Everything in Thailand is relative. Value, love, even honesty. I was just too naive to understand the exchange rate. My retirement fund is smaller than it was a year ago, not devastated but damaged. The house sale money is gone, spent on dreams that were never really mine. The monthly support I provided, the emergencies I funded, the lifestyle I maintained, all of it adds up to about $60,000. The cost of a new truck back home. The cost of a semester at a good college. The cost of learning that loneliness makes you stupid, but it doesn't have to make you permanently broke. I learned something about myself in Thailand. I learned that I was so desperate to be needed, to matter to someone, that I ignored every red flag and rationalized every inconsistency. I learned that the worst lies are the ones we tell ourselves, and the most expensive mistakes are the ones we make when we're trying to buy something that can't be purchased. Supa wasn't evil. She wasn't even particularly dishonest. Once I stopped expecting her to be something she never claimed to be. She saw an opportunity and took it. In her world, with her limited options, maybe that's not manipulation. Maybe that's just survival. She was clear about what she could offer, what she needed in return, and what the arrangement would look like if I accepted it. I was the one who confused it with romance. I was the one who added love to a transaction that was always meant to be practical. The plane takes off in 6 hours. I'll land in Phoenix tomorrow afternoon, rent a car, drive to a hotel, and start figuring out what the rest of my life looks like. I might buy a small house, something manageable for a man my age. I might get a part-time job, something to keep my hands busy and my mind occupied. I might even try dating again someday. Women my own age, who have their own retirement accounts, and their own reasons for being alone. Thailand is still beautiful. The beaches are still pristine, the people are still kind, the sunsets still take your breath away. It wasn't the country that broke me. It was my own desperate need to matter to someone, to be essential in a way I never was during my marriage. Maybe that's the real paradise I was looking for. Not a place where someone needs me, but a place where I'm enough by myself, where loneliness is just another weather pattern that passes through, not a permanent condition that requires expensive treatment. I close the laptop and pack the last of my things. Tomorrow I start over, again. But this time, I'm not running toward something impossible. I'm just going home. The flight attendant announces boarding for first class, and I realize I booked the upgrade without thinking. Old habits. For 8 months, I lived like a man with unlimited resources, funding a life that was never really mine. Tonight, I'm just Bernard again. 68 years old, recently divorced, recently educated about the difference between being wanted and being useful. It's not the ending I wanted when I bought that first plane ticket to Bangkok, but it's honest. And after everything I've been through, honest feels like enough.